Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with Remax, the Golfi team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show with host now today, Carl Dockstader. So be very careful, but the opportunities are out there. The market is still decent, and I know it's expensive, but that's just the way our economy is. That's the way our country is, and there's nothing we can do about that.
All right, excellent. Appreciate your perspective, Rob Golfi. I'm talking to Rob Golfi and the Golfi Real Estate Show. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. We're gonna hit a pause, and then when we come back, we've got a really cool story. I think this is really important for our listeners to check out. But you'll just have to hang out for a couple seconds while we hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, we're doing the Golfi Real Estate Show right now. I'm your host, Carl Dockstader. I'm talking to realtor and expert Rob Golfi with the Remax Golfi team. How you doing today, Rob?
Great. I got a great story here that came up in the newspaper. I'm going to read what happened. I'm going to give my input on this. There was an Oakville home buyer where they were 9 minutes late with a payment. It cost them $113,000, and then they went to court. Now I'll give you the story on this, and then after I'll give you my opinion what happened here. Now, sometimes when buyers or sellers are not able to meet rigid closing deadlines, this Bob Aaron courts may be asked to bend the rules. Beware, the time of essence is the clause. Now, on every clause, like when you're putting in an offer, there's always a time frame. There's a time frame of closing, time frame to get your conditions in. So this is what he's talking about. So courts will almost always uphold strict provisions for contractual deadlines, writes lawyer Bob Aaron. Now, buyers and sellers should be aware that there is no wiggle room when it comes to closing deadlines. When a home purchase agreement has a time of essence clause, it means that any time deadlines in the contract will be strictly construed and there will be no wiggle room for interpreting otherwise. Sometimes, through no fault of their own, when buyers or sellers are not able to meet the rigid deadlines, courts may be asked to bend the rules and allow the party to escape the consequences of their actions. That's what happened in court decision released last summer. Now, in February 2022, Ivy and Alvin Correa signed an agreement with Valstar Homes to buy a pre-construction home on Post Road in Oakville for $1.44 million. The agreement set a close-in for no later than 5 p.m. on January 27, 2021. Now, unless extended by the builder or by the agreement between the parties, the builder later extended the closing date to April 20th, 2021. So he did extend it for 4 months on the first time. On that day, the buyers ran into trouble securing the funds needed for closing. They asked for a one-day extension, but the builder refused the request. Ultimately, the Correas arranged private financing and were able to deposit the money into their lawyer's bank account late on the day of closing. So they did get the money. Now, their lawyer wired those funds to Valstar's lawyer at 4:52 p.m., but they did not arrive until 5:09 p.m., 9 minutes later. The next day, Valstar took the position that the buyers had breached the time of the essence clause because their payment was late and the agreement was terminated. Later that day, Valstar offered to revive the agreement if the buyers paid an additional $113,000, including HST, as a revival fee. Its lawyer justified the fee by explaining that the value of the house had increased by $600,000. And it's true, 2021, the market did go berserk. It went up. Now, the Correas accepted the offer, paid the money, and the deal closed. Now, the reason why they probably paid it without argument, because they needed to move into a house. They probably had their truck loaded with furniture and everything, so they were basically stuck, and they knew they were still, and they deep down, they probably knew they were still way ahead when it came to the purchase price of the house. So more than a year later, the Correas applied to the Superior Court for the return of their $113,000. They claimed that Valstar had acted in bad faith after receiving the purchase price for only 9 minutes late. Like after receiving the price only 9 minutes late. They argued that the court should not strictly enforce the time of essence clause, while Valstar countered that within its rights to insist on timely closings. Last June, after a 2-day hearing, Judge Marvin Kurtz dismissed the Correas' application for return of the money. He ruled that Valstar was entitled to take the position that it did and there was nothing wrong in Valstar's relying on the legal rights under the agreement. He also noted that the buyers could not prove any economic duress, which prevented them from paying the $113,000. Ultimately, the court followed the reasoning of many prior cases upholding contractual certainty. There were no extenuating circumstances beyond the control of the buyers, and it would be unfair to the seller not to enforce the strict terms of the contract. In following up ruling in September, the innocent buyers were ordered to pay the builder $30,000 in costs. So basically, they went against them. Courts will almost always uphold strict provisions for contractual deadlines. Buyers and sellers should be aware that there is no wiggle room when it comes to closing deadlines. So here's my thoughts on this. They went to their lawyer. They said, hey, for that 10 minutes, we want to get our $113,000 back. They went to the lawyer. Lawyer says, yeah, let's do it. All lawyers, sometimes they want to do fight, and they say you got a good chance of getting it because it was only 9 minutes. But it's not really their decision that it's okay. And I know because, if people haven't sued anybody before or have not been sued before, you'd be surprised how they go with this. So I truly feel that the 9 minutes was a little excessive for the $113,000, but the builder says, you know what? We built this house, probably cost him a little more money than what the contractual issue. He gave him 4 months to delay the closing, and that 10 minutes probably was like, hey, you know what? We can't keep doing this because who knows if you're going to close the next day. And so he said, I want another $113,000. Otherwise, forget it. You're not going to get it. So anyway, the builder won on this case. Now, I'll give you another example. We had a similar situation that happened, and it was a condition. I think it was a condition on financing. And we were coming close to the deadline on financing. So one of my team members calls me up and says to me and says, hey, listen, we got to get this agreement firmed up by 5 o'clock, but my clients cannot get to a computer or get to I can't meet with them before 5 to get this signed to send to the other agent. And I said to them, I go, try to get something, send an email to the agent that has the listing and indicate to them that your clients have indicated to you they are firming up. Consider this email that we're a firm and binding deal now. Right? Now, the other realtor did not accept that as a firm and binding deal. So, but which it is, because I've done many transactions. So anyway, this realtor there was another agent in line wanting to buy this house. So they end up selling it to the other people too. So they actually sold this house to 2 different people.